Grace Fellowship Church. Today I'd like to share with you what quarantine and scripture have taught me about the value of community. It's interesting for me to reflect on the lessons I've learned over the years from living without something in particular. For instance, I learned a very valuable lesson about the lordship of Jesus Christ when for the first 20 years of my life I lived under the lordship of sin. Sin and me participating in sin drove my life into the ground. And then turning to Christ from my sin and being set free from slavery to sin, I realized how valuable it is to have Christ as my Lord. And there are many other lessons in life, and I imagine you as well have learned many lessons as well from living without something and then seeing how valuable that very thing is. And quarantine has afforded me one of those opportunities now. Living in quarantine has shown me from living without community and living in the relative isolation that we're living in, just how valuable community is. And reflecting on this concept of how valuable community is, I look to Scripture to see with new light and new relevance just how important this principle is even in Scripture. I think about Genesis, for instance, at the very beginning in creation. You find God saying something, bringing it into existence, and then looking upon it and seeing that it was good. And many times over, God saw that it was good, and God saw that it was good, and God saw that it was good. And in this very perfect, sinless creation, God was able still to say that something was not good. It was not good for man to be alone. Because we are made in the image of God, and God is a Trinity and a community in Himself, man was meant to live in community. It is vital to our well-being and our existence. And so from the very first pages of Scripture, we see that community is essential to our existence. We see this reflected in Proverbs that speak about how in community we have gained strength, and in community we have many counselors and then greater wisdom. We see, especially in the teachings of the New Testament, how vital community is to the Christian. We see in teachings such as the explicit teachings of Paul on the church. And I reflect to what Pastor Crane pointed out in using the illustration of the body, looking to that illustration as one that helps us to best understand the church. The church as a body helps us to see the interconnectedness and the dependence that we have on one another. Our existence, both in the physical realm and the spiritual realm, recognizes that we need community. As Christians, we need community, and as humans in general, we need community. And then implicitly in the New Testament, we see so many passages of Scriptures that imply how desperately we were meant to live out community. We see all of the one another's imply the fact that we were intended to live in community. As I've reflected on the importance of community, I've recognized not only that it is important and that I've taken it for granted, but I've recognized how well our church has done in this unusual time in maintaining community. I've heard many testimonies of people who have sent letters, who've made phone calls, who've continued to meet regularly through Zoom and do Bible studies together. We've seen incredible testimonies of how the Lord has continued to build up His church through each and every individual in it. And I've just been encouraged by that. So my encouragement to you would be to continue in that great effort, in that good work, in this month to come as we ride out the remainder of this stay-at-home order. Continue to encourage one another, continue to build one another up, continue to love one another as Christ has loved you, and in this way, I know God will be glorified. May God bless you.